Good morning and welcome to the CADclass Podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Jake.
It's good to be back. It's been a
It
few.
is very good to be
It's
back.
been a couple. It's been a handful.
It's been a couple of weeks. Our apologies for not hosting the show every single week. We've had the busiest month possible, but that is not why you're here for today. Today is just going to be getting back into the rhythm of podcasting, something we all like to do. But this is going to be a short episode because we are packed back to back with meetings all the time. Ooh, what a fun schedule we have today.
How cool we are. Look how
I know.
important we are.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
really the point of all of this. We're so important. Dude,
I know.
so
Good,
important.
good God. Anyway, so for today's podcast, we just want to talk about basically, in my mind, I've just got a bunch of 3D printing stuff that I want to talk about, and I just want to blare vomit into the world. But to get started, before we do that, I think we should talk about CAD on this CAD podcast for a
What?
change. Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Okay, let's do it.
After literally years, I don't even know, 2 or 3 years of people asking, we have finally finished our Onshape book. Oh my God. It only took, I think literally 2 or 3 years to do, but it's finally done. We have currently just published the instructor version, and the normal version, the non-teacher instructor version, is probably going to go live tomorrow, effectively. But with our Too Tall Toby Onshape for the win. So in the past, we always want to build out our ecosystem with books and courses as much as possible. We're still working on all of them, to be honest. They will never end as the topics get more and more advanced. But we always wanted to include a beginner fundamentals, kind of to understand the very, very, very essentials of CAD. And then as soon as you finish that, as soon as you feel comfortable with that, you really get into the groove, you understand how this program works, then you can graduate over to the mastering series, where it's like, okay, oh, here's a textbook that's got some serious mass to it. You can't fit it in your pocket. You can't really, it's not easy to lug around. It's intimidating on purpose. And this has always been our kind of system. And so now that we have the entry to the Onshape, it's just fantastic. I'm really, really glad. There's been a pushback from me, but I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, and I also think it is fundamentals, but we've done some innovative things in this text. We've incorporated a lot more information in a good way, not just because it's information, but we've incorporated a lot more information and practice into the platform. So you get what, even though the book form factor is somewhat small, the actual experience that you get is a lot.
One of the things that we really pride ourselves on with really anything, whether it's books, the video courses, the YouTube videos, what we try and do is something that both Josh and I really hate. Like, we kind of understand within the YouTube world of like the actual minutes and hours that people watch is revenue. So the more that you fluff things out, the better, the more monetary it is. And for a lot of people, it's their job. So I understand that. But for us, YouTube is just kind of the fun side, and having density of information is so much more important. And so having these kind of small factor books that you can literally put in your pocket, you can throw in your bag, you can take to Starbucks with your laptop and work on it, is so important. So this book is kind of incorporating one of the most important aspects of Onshape, which is public file shareability. So we can literally have a whole series of challenges and projects and quizzes and really anything all within publicly available files. And you can have all the instructions on those digital files as well. So the book is about that thick. It's pretty nice. But it's got a huge amount of information in it. And we're really, really, really fantastically stoked to get to this point. So yeah, this has been a long time coming.
Sure has.
Yeah.
How hard can it be? How hard can it be?
Yeah. One of the things that I kind of want to talk about right from the top about Onshape is, so when I first started learning CAD, I learned SolidWorks, which is really, really kind of high level. Practically every single engineering firm in the world uses it. Then I started on Fusion for work. Then I went to NX for school, which is the program that NASA and Boeing uses. So it's insanely powerful. You need to have a really, really expensive computer for it that I didn't have. And then kind of coming back to Fusion, and I've been working with Fusion for, I think, nigh on, it's almost a decade. I started using it in 2016 when Josh and I started working together, and I've used it practically every single day for everything, not just CAD modeling, but for layouts, for 2D things, for big projects, small projects, basically anything in between. And as soon as we were like, hey, I think we need to do Onshape to kind of just, diversity within all of our products. Yeah, I get that. But I was just like,
Yep.
Josh wore me down, but it took a long, long, long time for me to do this. The heart of this story is that if you guys are coming in this from the Fusion side as kind of steadfast fingers in the ground, I'm only going to be CADing on Fusion. I'm going to recommend that you guys let go a little bit and float off with us and try out Onshape in a different world, because there's going to be a lot of similarities in it. So you're not going to be feeling like you're stuck in the middle of the ocean, but there's going to be a lot of new things that you go, oh, that's actually really, really, really nice.
Especially for schools and teachers and classrooms.
Oh my God, yeah. So you are only adding this stuff to your repertoire. And the reason that I want to bring up the grabbing onto the earth with your fingers as you're being pulled away motif is that recently we've both Josh and I have had a lot of experience teaching not only beginners and newbies and intermediate people, but recently, which we don't do very often, we get to teach experts in CAD. Both Josh and I have taught very, very recently people who have been working with CAD in a different program, a high-level program. I think they said for 10, 11, 12 years, just on one program. And what ends up happening with that is you end up with people who are kind of, I will live or die by this program. Everything else is now in comparison to this, and you have to work hard to say, try out this different thing, because they'll just go, no.
I had it on my so I had a big training session yesterday. I have another one just after this podcast today, and I had a couple of folks in there who were saying, I'm only an inventor person. This is low level. There's all this, you know what, this is part of a larger topic. There is gate-kept knowledge, and there are historical preferences from things that you learned a while ago that are very, very, very sticky and not necessarily true. So it turned into kind of like a lively debate where I was like, look, I'm going to push back a little bit on your idea that Inventor is, or that Fusion is more primitive than Inventor. As a matter of fact, Fusion is a much more powerful platform.
Yes.
And
it has way more functionality.
And I've
maybe
never
not as much
encountered
power.
I've never encountered something that Fusion can't do that Inventor can.
Yeah, especially with all the new efficiency upgrades. I totally agree with it.
It's incredible. It feels
I'm
so
going to say a
slick.
word, and it's going to be a little controversial to these people. There is a certain element of snootiness that goes along with it.
Big time. Yeah. So don't be one of those guys.
This is not to poke fun at people. This is not to poke fun at people.
Don't be one of those guys. Anyone. This is totally to make fun of you. You suck.
because I absolutely do the same thing about other things. We all do. We all have things. I grew up with this one product or this one methodology or this one thing, and I will never change. And it's hard for people to change, and I totally get that.
Well, it's gonna be really interesting when you start to get AI native CAD systems that are really designed from the ground up in a completely different way. We're not there yet. I do continue to explore these tools. I watch the YouTube videos. I really try to stay up with the state of the art. We're not there yet, but when we get there, I think you're going to have this debate in mass, and you're going to have a bunch of people that tell us, oh, well, you can only do this by hand. It's like moving from a piece of paper to writing on a computer screen, where I don't know if you remember this, but I remember the transition where suddenly none of my teachers would accept a handwritten assignment. They're like, absolutely not. You need to type this on a computer so I can read it. Right. But like there was all this like, oh, but what are you going to lose by transitioning from writing out on pencil and paper to writing on a computer screen? It's like, I don't know. You do lose some stuff, but look at what you gain. You gain the ability to do all these other things, but you get this gate-kept knowledge. You get this these historical. This is what we've always done. So of course, this is what we should always do. And I mean, I think it's even wider than that. If you think about, we talk a lot about education. We think a lot about education. We care a lot about education. We're in the midst of the largest education revolution I think we've ever known, with these AI tools that are starting to be developed. So anyways, I won't become that AI talking mouthpiece, but I just thought that
really quick
segue.
because I did see a thing yesterday that just made me chuckle. So that there's a billion different CAD and AI talking points, but I saw on Reddit yesterday for the first time an ad for an AI CAD software, and it was one that I'd never heard of. And foolishly, they turned their comments on. For everyone who doesn't know, turning your comments on an ad in Reddit unless it is perfect is a bad move.
Dude.
So this whole advertisement, it was like, hey, our AI software is not just like type this and make a cylinder or a bolt or something. It's an actual project. It's like a product, effectively, that has multiple different types of hardware, multiple different this, and just way more powerful with way less input, which is the goal within AI for CAD. Unfortunately, the example that they chose was a pressure vessel. So they just typed in pressure vessel with valve at top with 2 straps on the side, and it went. And I'm sure this is like, it's tailored. Obviously, it's an advertisement. It's like the best case scenario. And it goes woo, and it makes it, and then it shows a little like quarter gap so you can see all the inside mechanisms. Every single comment was people going, I would never trust a pressurized metal canister that was designed by AI, not by a human being.
Yeah, the funny thing is,
I agree more. I couldn't agree more.
Couldn't disagree more. And actually, I have a hot take here. I have a hot take here.
All right.
You aren't going to know all of the things that were designed using AI, and it will touch all of them. And I'll give you one great example. So our buddy that's developing an electric hub motor to turn regular gas-powered cars into hybrids has now built 2 test systems by going back and forth with AI to build them. $100,000 test systems.
I'm saying just one line of text, and then it makes a pressurized gas canister.
No, but I'm saying like you absolutely won't know when you're using those products so long as they pass some sort of pressure test. You won't care. And actually, you'll never know. So couldn't disagree more. Could not disagree more. Yes, it needs to be tested, but it's all going to be designed like this in the future. You'll see. And you just, even with cars and chassis and frames and doors, and you pick it. You pick what it is. But it almost doesn't matter. My retort would be,
when people are still pensive, especially on like a potentially incredibly dangerous, if not deadly thing, like a compressed hydrogen tank with a valve at top. Like, hell yeah, I want a human being to make that.
Human beings don't make them now. Machines do.
No, fine. Design it, and they go through all the protocol and all that.
Well, but you want a human being to test it. You don't need a human being to design it. You want an engineer who's worked with pressure vessels to go, this will work here, this won't work here. I would argue you can still take that design. You wouldn't want to send it straight into production. That part I agree with you. Like, you wouldn't want to send it, but you wouldn't send any pressure vessel straight into production. You would always test it. So there'd be FAA analysis, plus there'd be some actual testing standards. So 100% agree with you. Like, you wouldn't put that into production and use it, but you would design it with AI and then ask a testing engineer to find its flaws and maybe make some updates based on those suggestions. Or as we get better and better, and as design catalogs improve, you just find one that already works. You have AI find it in the catalog and pop it in there. If I do think, but everything needs to be tested still. This is not an argument that we should stop testing anything. There's going to be some stupidity for people that build things they shouldn't build.
No.
Yeah, right. Like, just because you know how to do chemistry doesn't mean you should walk into a lab and start doing it. You're going to blow something up or catch something on fire, or worse.
Or someone else up.
Right. So anyways, I just think there's this highbrow. There's this like, oh, well, it couldn't possibly do what I can do, Mr. Fancy Engineer. And I just think we're going to be over and over. We're going to find out that is the wrong way to look at it. And those folks, by the way, are going to stop having jobs.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my disagreement. Who knows? You tell us what you think in the comments. Who's right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm right.
Yeah. Definitely. Anyway, I want to talk about just for this kind of halfy podcast. I do want to talk about printing because I got a new printer and I didn't get to talk about it. Recently, I have now officially, Thank you, Tutor Toby. I am officially now the owner of a beautiful A1 mini bamboo combo.
Tell me about it. Tell me.
Such okay.
It's cute.
So I've been now batching this and using it for, oh my god, I think a few weeks, I think 3 weeks, and I've been printing with it for almost 100% of that time. We're working on a bunch of giveaways for our big conference at the end of the month, and it is just both of my printers. One literally just finished. They've been printing like 32-hour prints back to back to back to back, and I've been scheduling them so none of them end while I'm sleeping, so I can restart them back up. But we have been slowly but surely printing, well, now almost 700 of these little lightsaber keychain things that are incredibly accurate. But the best thing is, they then have lightsabers that flick out. I've been playing with this thing for so ungodly long. There's a bunch of these files. I got this on MakerWorld. If you haven't printed this out, please, 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 please do it. It's one of the most fun prints I've done in a long time. That's made me giddy like a boy. I have not stopped been able to play for this. Every single meeting and talk that I've had with Josh for the last couple of weeks, he's just been hearing in the background over and over and over again. I'm sure he's sick of it. Oh my god, I love this. I've shown this to a handful of people, just kind of family and friends. And as soon as I show them this, they go, yeah, that's cool. And they go, oh, that's awesome. And so I've been printing out many of these.
We printed a couple of those at a conference we attended live, and we had a line of people coming back to our booth waiting for one of those to finish, like throughout the whole day. Yep. So we're like, oh, this is I also had a lot of fun with it, so I can attest. But we were talking about the A1 Mini. I was
talking about the A1 Mini.
I want to hear your thoughts on the A1 Mini.
The A1 Mini is so cute. I do love this machine. If I was working in a little office or a home where I didn't have the physical room for a big 3D printer, and I could only have a small scale printer like this, I would choose this one every single time. The amount of people in my life who are not engineers or makers or anything in that breed who gave two damns when I got my big 3D printer was about zero. As soon as I showed them this little cute printer, they all were like, oh my god, that's so awesome. Tell me more. I was like, oh my god, you can print from the app, and look, it's got a webcam on it. I can turn the light on. They lit up. And I do think there is an argument for small and high cute factor of 3D printers actually being a better driving force than the biggest, the baddest, the cheapest, the quickest, the most energy efficient, the best looking. Having something small and approachable is the better way to mainline people into the world of 3D printing, in my mind.
Totally agree. I think I had an additional revelation with mine that I mean, you and I have talked about quite a bit, and it might be somewhat controversial, actually. This is good.
Ooh, okay.
We've talked about it quite a bit, but this was an aha moment for me. Beyond just thinking that I knew something, this was the first time that I felt like I knew it. The aha moment was Chinese engineers are better.
This is something controversial we talked about.
So we've been talking a lot about this, right? So there's a lot of talk, obviously, around the U.S.-China relations. So and there's some new announcements today. There's all kinds of stuff going on, right? But there's this general, I would argue, misconception that Chinese manufacturing is people choose it for the cheap labor. And I don't know if you saw, but Smarter Every Day put out a video this week. Did you get to see his video?
Yes, I did.
Incredible. And highly relevant to what I'm about to say. This was the first time I recognized in person in my own life that this is better. This is a better machine in basically every way for the price than any machine in its category, and it's not even close. And when you think about the integration of the ecosystem and the actual level of detail on the product itself, the cute factor is not just that it's a small machine. The cute factor is also that it's well built and thought through and you have this, right? And it just works out of the box. Like every bit of the user experience was phenomenal. And we do this in our own company. It's like best product wins. In the long run, best product or best product for the price wins in a category. And it was actually head and heels above anything else in the category for the price. So
I think that there's definitely there's a cultural, not agreement, I don't think that's the right word, I can't think of the right word, but this kind of cultural acknowledgement within America is when talking about manufacturing overseas. It's like, yeah, of course it's inexpensive, it's from China, and it's and it's always with the monicum of, yeah, but it's gonna break sooner, or it's the plastic is really cheap and this and that. And over the course of the last handful of years, it's not been very long, there has been a huge flip, There are now an obscene, slightly different topic, an obscene amount of electric cars that are coming out of China, brand new factories, not just different models, that are supreme. They are absolutely amazing. They are so amazing. We talked about the kind of with that whole, oh, it's Chinese manufacturing. Well, it's going to be, everyone just kind of thinks of like a coal firing power plant. But then we see on the news that they've literally cladded mountains with solar panels, and it's like, oh God, we need to.
What are we doing over here? Yeah,
I'm gonna give you guys a reference that will give you a little bit of clue to this of why I think there's this shift. We thought the exact same thing with, yeah, it's inexpensive, but it's a crappy quality, and it's made in, an Asian country, because we used to think the exact same thing about Japanese products back in the 80s and the 70s. And now, if anyone thinks about Japanese electronics, they think very high quality, incredibly technologically advanced, very efficient, and it's got a very premium class to it. If you watch Back to the Future, in the first movie, I believe, I think the third movie, where Doc's looking through the big magnifying glass over his mouth, and he's just looking at this little electronic component. He's going, piece of junk. And he goes, look at this, Marty, made in Japan. And he goes, all the best stuff's made in Japan. And it's like there's this huge kind of cultural shift about like, there is a point where there's, it's always going to be kind of terribly made, is, oh no, these countries are actually making tremendously high.
Oh, and not just that, but like, the Smarter Everyday video we were talking about, the ability to make molds in America is not, it's almost non-existent. If you want to make an injection mold, it's all outsourced, including, by the way, our friends that do it. They outsource all of it to China.
Yeah,
and they've been doing it for a while. He also said something else that struck me. He said, America used to export machines so the world could use them. Now we're importing machines, and Americans are actually pressing the buttons. We've flipped the script, and I'm like,
yeah, that's an important
interesting.
That's big. That's a big topic. Yeah.
It is a big topic.
I don't have the chops to add anything else to it, to be honest.
Because he said we not only did we lose the ability to make these things, but we lost the ability to make the machines to make the things. We're at risk of losing an entire, basically, industry in manufacturing.
This is a topic that I think we talked about a little bit when we interviewed Rob, and that is, it's strange for humans to think about this, but inventions and man-made things, even recent things, get forgotten. Like manufacturing techniques, they get forgotten. The kind of most famous one is concrete. The Romans had concrete, and then with the decay of their empire, the world quite literally forgot how to manufacture concrete. We had to rediscover it hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000 years later. And then we only and then all of our concrete, modern concrete, we're like, oh my God, it's breaking. We have to rebuild buildings. How the hell did the Colosseum last for now thousands of years? And we only rediscovered why it was so good a couple of years ago. So it's like things get forgotten. There's this awesome fun fact that I learned that I think you'll actually get a dig out of this, Josh. I'm going to be completely butchering this. I encourage everyone to read up on the story because it's amazing. But I can't remember which country. I think it was either the US or the UK. We forgot how to make pure uranium that we would use for reactors, and eventually it was like, why is stuff that we made in like World War II way better than what we can make now? We don't understand it. And after like this being floating around the nuclear engineering world for decades, it was, oh my gosh, we have a cleaner setup now than we did in, back in the 40s. And that uncleanliness, all of the dust and particulates, they acted as nucleation points, which made things more reactive and way better. So, and we forgot about this. We forgot how to create things. So there is absolutely a world of like industries, especially within like car manufacturers. If as soon as it gets outsourced for too long, you can't really bring it back too much. Things just get forgotten, and it sucks. It really, really sucks from like a pedigree point of view as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, I don't think we'll fix it, but
well, I don't know. I think that's part of what we are starting to try to fix. Like the skills, we are trying to bring back the skills that are necessary to do this. A lot of it starts in CAD. A lot of it starts in design. A lot of it starts with basic machining, manufacturing technology. And I do think there's an opportunity, just as there always is in manufacturing, to sort of reinvent the industry. So maybe the upside is that we don't have to go back to manual machines, right? We can now just utilize the latest in robotic technology to build high-tech manufacturing facilities that are better than what they would have been a while ago. But it starts with these foundational skills. And so
have we talked about micro manufacturing on this pod?
A little, not much.
So for anyone who doesn't know, there's a terminology it gets floated around every once in a while, but not many people pick up on it. But I believe it's called micro scale manufacturing. It is the idea that you don't necessarily need to have a gigantic factory or a gigantic business who can make everything, like real making things. You can do all of that on a very, very small scale where it's a single building per town or per village or per city. And you've got CNC machines, 3D printers, CNC routers, metal lathes, all this stuff. Not a tremendous amount of equipment and not a tremendous amount of financial input. But the whole point is that it can feed and sustain the city and the very small local towns around it. And this is a slowly but surely growing concept, because it's what we used to do 100 years ago and then back towards, Genesis. It's like we've always had kind of small scale, a blacksmith within the village who then makes all the stuff for that village. And then in another village, there's another one. And this kind of concept of bringing back small scale manufacturing it's kind of wonderful. And because we've now included all these robotic CNC tools, it's now no longer restricted to the experience of that person at all.
Totally.
Now it's a completely average manufacturer who's got a perfectly decent skill set and knowledge about these tools can do anything. And it's like, God, that's so much more exciting. It's so much more wholesome to think about. I just love it from that perspective. And I genuinely think that's going to be a big part of what will bring back American, or really, to be honest, any country's own manufacturing. It's kind of nice. Can I talk about a really, really quick tangent that you're going to go, oh,
yeah.
Okay. One of my favorite television shows of all time, even though it's only a few years old, is a show called Clarkson's Farm. If you guys are really big into Top Gear and Grand Tour, it's Jeremy Clarkson. He runs a farm, and he has a whole TV show on it. And the most recent season just ended, and the whole season is him trying to run a farm, but he's terrible at it. And he opened up a pub, and he goes, "I'm going to open up a pub," and he has to make the whole thing in like 3 weeks because he's an idiot and he screwed up on the calendar. And it's just him manically running around. It's if you haven't seen it, it's amazing. It's wonderful. And he opened up a pub that has a restaurant to it. And his whole shtick was, I want every bit of food coming out of this restaurant to be 100% British made. So England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, everything has to come from here. And he's like, this is very, very important. He goes, if you want a Coca-Cola or if you want a cup of coffee, you can piss off because you can't grow on any of those. And slowly but surely, this was a year ago. It's only being broadcasted now. But slowly but surely, they're kind of building up an arsenal of products. And one of the things that was big in there was ketchup. I saw this company on Instagram who's like, there's no ketchup at his bar because all of it's like 5 ingredients to make ketchup. All of them are produced outside. It's like the tomatoes are grown in Spain, the salt is found in here, the pepper is from there, and it's like, so we're now creating the only company who can produce fully 100% British ketchup. And it's like, that's kind of a crazy, bizarre concept that we got so far away from everything needs to be international. It's kind of insane. And I do think this idea of, to bring it back to manufacturing, these micro scale, the micro scale factories or manufacturing hubs is totally essential. I'm all about internationality and kind of global economic scale. I understand the necessity of that, but forgetting small scale independent is, that's a mistake that needs to be fixed now. And I think we're doing
us to the rescue.
maybe.
Well, Jake, we said this was going to be a short episode, so this, and I believe, is a great spot to conclude because we have a couple more trainings coming up. I do want to mention I will be out of town for the next couple of weeks, so I at least will not be here. I don't know if you and Ed want to pop on at some point when I'm gone, maybe not. So we may be taking a brief sabbatical for a couple more weeks here. Hopefully by early July, we're kind of back in the normal rhythm of things, and we're here every week with you guys because we love to be here every week with you guys. Yeah. But may or may not see us for the next couple of weeks, but we haven't left, and we are still working really hard to build this up. So that's it. That's all I got. This has been the CADclass Podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Jake.
We will see you when we see you.
All right. See you guys.